Hello everyone. In this lesson, we will learn about widgets. The natural question here is, what in the world is a widget? Well, here we are on the home page of my website, and I can tell you that this right-hand sidebar is comprised or made up of widgets. So, for example, this search section where visitors can search for certain content on my website, this is a search widget. This recent posts area or section is a recent posts widget. If I scroll down a bit, this recent comments area is a widget. This archives area is a widget. You get the idea. Now, the nice thing about widgets is that we can drag and drop and reorder them and customize them. So, for example, maybe I want this recent posts widget to sit above the search widget. Or maybe I want to remove one of the widgets entirely or add a new widget. You get the idea. And WordPress makes it very simple to manage our widgets. So check this out. If we jump over to our admin dashboard, and in the sidebar, if we look under the appearance pop-out menu, we can then click on widgets. All right, now from this screen, the first thing I want to draw your attention to is this area, this box that is labeled sidebar. So all of these items correspond with the widgets that live in our website's sidebar area. So for example, if I open up the front end of my website again, remember that the search widget came first and then the recent posts widget. But if I want the recent posts widget to be on top and come first, within this widget screen, I can just click and drag recent posts to sit up at the top. And if I go and refresh my website, that change took effect. Let's try another example. So maybe I want to remove this recent comments widget from my sidebar altogether. So back in my widget screen, here is recent comments. So if I click on that, this menu area appears, and now I can just click on this delete link. And if I switch back to my front-facing website, here's recent comments, but as soon as I refresh the page, you can see that it's gone. Perfect. Now let's try something new. So maybe for this recent posts widget area, maybe instead of recent posts, I want to rename it to latest posts. So back in my admin dashboard within my widget screen, here's that recent posts widget or section. So if I click on it, we see that there's a title field, and I can type whatever I want here. So I will say latest entries. But obviously you could type whatever you want and then just click this blue save button. Okay, and now as soon as we go back to the front-facing website and refresh, here we see that change. All right, now let's jump back to our admin dashboard because you might be wondering what this half of the screen is. This area is titled Available Widgets. So we can choose from any of these widgets, and if we see one that we like, we can just drag and drop it into our sidebar area. So for example, this calendar widget sounds interesting. So if I click on it and then drag it over to my sidebar area, that placed it here. But maybe I want it to be the first widget in my sidebar, so I can just click and drag it to move it up to the top. And now if I jump back to my front-facing website and refresh, at the very top of my sidebar is this neat calendar. Now, I haven't been creating very many new blog posts on this website, but on the days where you have created a post, it will light up. So the 10th is lit up because I posted on the 10th, and if I click on that, it takes me to an archive for just that day, February 10th. So on that day, I created Greek salad and homemade French bread. You get the idea. So this calendar widget is pretty neat. Let's jump back to my admin dashboard and let's practice adding another widget to the sidebar. So again, this area contains all of the widgets that I can choose from, but these widgets won't actually be created and added to my website until I add them into this sidebar area. So I can choose from any of these. I will try out this text widget. So if I just click and drag the text box into the sidebar area, it gives me a few fields to fill out, so title and content. This text widget is pretty nice because it's very flexible. So the text widget doesn't do anything on its own or automatically. It just gives us a blank canvas or a blank area where we can type. So I can give this a title of Hello World. And for the content, I will say this is a bit of sample text. Thanks for reading. Okay, and now I will just click this blue Save button. And if I jump back to my front-facing website and refresh, here is that text widget. All right, next, I want to change gears a bit, and I want to let you know that widgets are not limited to just your sidebar or just this side column. So check this out. If we jump back to the admin dashboard, here's the sidebar widget area that we've been customizing, but you will notice that I also have content bottom 1 and content bottom 2. Now every theme is different. So I'm using the 2016 theme, and it has widget areas named sidebar, content bottom 1, content bottom 2. But if you're using a different theme, it will likely have different widget area names. But the same concepts apply. So check this out. If I click on this content bottom 1, again, yours might be named something different if you're using a different theme. But once I click on it, now I can drag widgets into this area. So for example, let me drag another text widget into this content bottom 1 area. And for the title, I will say testing the text widget again. And for the content, I will just say hello world 123, the sky is blue. All right, now if I click save and then jump back to my front-facing website and refresh, and scroll down to the very bottom, here we see that new widget. Now again, every theme is different, but in my theme, content bottom 1 corresponds with this bottom area of my theme. Let's try to add a widget to this content bottom 2 area. So I will click on it, and even though I already have a search widget in my sidebar, why don't I just experiment and click and drag search into content bottom 2. The idea here is that you could experiment with any of the widgets, so feel free to drag and drop any widgets into any of your widget areas. But once I click save and then refresh my website, here we see it. So within this particular theme of 2016, this area is content bottom 1, and just a moment ago it was taking up this full width, but as soon as we added a widget to the content bottom 2 area, now they sit side by side, each taking up half of this available width. So feel free to experiment with different themes. This theme I'm using has 3 widget areas, or different areas in the page layout that I can customize with widgets, but some themes might have 4 or 5 or 10 widget areas. Other themes might only have the 1 sidebar widget area. Now remember, there are thousands of free themes to choose from, so it's up to you to experiment and find the right theme for you that has enough widget flexibility to meet your needs. Just to give you a real-world example, other themes might have a widget area named header, and maybe you could add widgets up here in the header. So you get the idea. Every theme is different, and every theme has different widget areas. But the key point is that anywhere there is a widget area, you have complete control over it. Now let's change gears a little bit and jump back to the admin dashboard, because there's one last super important feature when it comes to widgets that I want to let you know about. So we are not limited to just these widgets that we see right here under the available widgets area. While it is true that these are the only available widgets that WordPress ships with out of the box, remember there's a little thing called plugins. We can search for and download and install new plugins that will give us access to new widgets that we can drag and drop into our widget areas. So let's try that right now. First, let's give ourselves an example goal or task. So within my sidebar widget area, here we can see that we currently have a widget named categories that we are using. And if we jump over to my website, here's that categories widget. And we can see that all it does is list out all of the categories on my website. So let's give ourselves a goal. Let's remove this categories widget and replace it with an area titled latest recipe posts or newest recipes, right? So I want a widget that can display maybe the most recent 2 or 3 or 5 blog posts from a particular category. In this case, maybe I want to display the most recent posts from the recipes category. Now, the default built-in WordPress categories widget cannot do that for us. So let's go ahead and delete this categories widget from my sidebar. So I will click on it and then click delete. And now what we are going to need to do is download and install a plugin that can offer us that type of functionality, the ability to display the most recent posts from a certain category in a widget. So I know that I need to search for and install a new plugin. So in my left-hand sidebar, here we see plugins. Let's go ahead and click on that. From this main plugin screen, let's click on this Add New button. And then within this top right search field, let's search for Category Posts. Now, you are free to choose your own plugin, but I know from personal experience that this first one is a great solution. So it's named Category Posts Widget. It's by Tip Top Press, and as of this moment, it has about 80,000 or more active installs. I want to use this plugin, so I will click this Install Now button. Once the install completes, we can then click this blue Activate button. All right, looking good. We see this plugin activated message here. So now, if we jump back to our widgets screen, so in the left-hand sidebar, hover over Appearance, and then in the pop-out menu, click on Widgets. And thanks to that new plugin we just installed, now within this available widgets area, we have this brand new Category Posts widget that we can use. So let's click and drag this into our sidebar widget area. And every widget is different, but I'm assuming we can just click on these different fields to customize the widget. So if we click on this first one named Title, let's give it a title of Latest Recipes. All right, let's click on this next field named Filter. So for category, let's choose only the recipes category. Number of posts to show, let's set it from 10 down to 5, so it will only show the 5 most recent recipes. And it looks like there are several other options we could customize, but I don't think we need to at this moment. So I'm just going to scroll down and click the blue Save button. And now if I jump back to my front-facing website and refresh and scroll up a bit, here we see that new widget, Latest Recipes. Perfect. Now there's only 3 instead of 5, and that's because I only have 3 posts under the recipes category. But obviously if I had more, this plugin would limit it to the most recent 5. And now our visitors can just click on any one of these to be taken to that post. All right, let's change gears again and try a new example. Let's give ourselves a new goal. So let's imagine we want to add a widget to our sidebar that displays icons or links to all of the social media networks that we belong to. So Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, you get the idea. WordPress does not come with a widget like that out of the box, but we can go search for and install a new plugin to get the job done. So let's jump over to our admin dashboard. We are going to need a new plugin. So in the left-hand sidebar, click on Plugins. From this main plugin screen, click the Add New button. Within this top right search field, let's search for Simple Social Icons. All right, now you might be wondering how in the world you're supposed to know what to search for. Because in the real world, there won't always be someone in a video telling you exactly what to search for. Well, over time, you will become familiar with different plugins that you've used again and again, and you know that they're quality solutions. But in the beginning, when you're just starting out, you're going to want to rely on word of mouth and oftentimes just Googling for best WordPress plugin for, and then include a few keywords of what you're trying to achieve. So in the past, I personally had Googled for best WordPress plugin for social icon widget, or something along those lines. Anyways, I just know through my own research that this Simple Social Icons is a quality solution. We can see that it has over 200,000 active installs. So let's use it. Let's click this Install Now button. Once the installation completes, we can then click this blue Activate button. And now let's jump back to our Widgets screen. So in the sidebar, hover over Appearance, and then in the pop-out menu, we can click on Widgets. And thanks to the plugin that we just installed, now within our Available Widgets area, down here we see Simple Social Icons. So let's just click and drag that into our sidebar. We could give it a title like Follow Me or Get Social or something cheesy along those lines, but I think we could actually just leave that field blank. I don't think we need to label this area. So you can obviously customize the size of the icons and the color of the icons, but more importantly, if we scroll down, you can see there are fields for practically every social media network there is. So the first big one that I see is Facebook. So it's up to you to go find your Facebook business page or fan page or company page or even just your personal page and copy and paste the link to it into this field. But I'm just going to paste my personal business or fan page URL. All right, now you might have all of these different accounts, Flickr, GitHub, Google, Instagram, LinkedIn, but I know that the big other one that I want to use is Twitter and also YouTube. So let's scroll down. They are in alphabetical order. So here I see Twitter. I will paste in my Twitter URL. And then down here I see YouTube. So I will paste in my YouTube URL. Perfect. And then I will just click this blue Save button. And if I switch back to my public front-facing website and refresh, cool. So now visitors of my website can check out any of my social media accounts through these easy-to-access links. Now this lesson is almost complete. Let's do a quick review, and then there's one final widget-related thing that I want to show you. So back in our admin dashboard to review, each theme has different widget areas. Sidebar, content bottom 1, content bottom 2. If you're using a different theme, you might have header widget area or footer widget area or any other name. But the idea is that WordPress shows us all of our available widgets, and then we just click and drag them into the widget area that we want. We also learned that if WordPress doesn't come with the widget that we want, there's no need to worry because there are thousands of plugins that we can search through, and odds are that someone has already created a plugin that will give us access to a new widget here that will allow us to achieve exactly what we were trying to set up. Okay, so that was the review. Now before we bring this lesson to a close, there is one final thing I want to show you. Now widgets are great and sidebars can be great, but you might have noticed a recent trend in web design where a lot of websites don't have a sidebar side column. A lot of modern websites only have the main column of content. So if you're like me, you might want to remove this side column entirely, so your website feels more minimalist and focused and clean, and you just have your actual content. Now, not every theme, but a lot of themes are pretty flexible. And all you need to do to get rid of the sidebar column is simply delete any and all widgets that you have in that widget area. So I might do a time lapse and fast forward over this because I don't want to bore you to tears, but if I just go through all of these widgets and click delete for each one so that my sidebar area is completely empty. Okay, so now that my sidebar widget area is completely empty, if I jump back to my front-facing website and refresh, my theme, the 2016 theme, is smart enough to just not display a side column. Now again, every theme is different, so your theme might not do this, but odds are pretty good that your theme is flexible enough to handle this for you. Anyways, I encourage you to just jump into your widget screen and begin experimenting. Experimenting is always the best way to learn. And that's actually going to bring this lesson to a close. In our next lesson, we will finally begin building our Contact Us page. It should be a ton of fun. Let's keep rolling, and I will see you in the next lesson.